Welcome back. So, we're going to be going to Ravenholm, are we? I mean, we've been told that it's bad, but surely they're just exaggerating, right? No, this looks pretty bad. For you see, the Pants are dead. And we know who killed them. Yeah. In all seriousness, though, that whole sequence back in Root Canal with the camp that gets shelled by headcrab pods, this is to prepare us for this moment. When we come across an entire community where everything has gone to hell. But on the other hand, of course, this is also a time for us to get familiarized with the gravity gun. And what better way to get ourselves familiar with a gravity gun than against a bunch of enemies that move very slowly and often shuffle in a straight line. Or, in this guy's case, was just kind of sitting here waiting for us to shoot them. Really though, Ravenholm tells a pretty grim story. There isn't actually a lot of background information on Ravenholm. In the original beta version of the game, it was known as Trap Town for obvious reasons. And yeah, it keeps a lot of that same sort of flavor. Just being a physics playground where, well, yeah, like if you want to demonstrate various like physics shenanigans, then what better than in a horror setting?
For it was said they had become like these peculiar demons which dwell in matter, but in whom no light may be found.
But it appears that we are not alone. Someone has been busy. Oh, turn that back on. I haven't actually mentioned this before now, but headcrab zombies now have a new characteristic where if you don't kill them by aiming for the head, then sometimes the headcrab will detach. And in that situation, you'll actually have to fight both the zombie and the headcrab separately. Ooh, yeah, more friends. Some have called Ravenholm a horror-themed chapter, but honestly, I find it to be less horrifying and more just incredibly tragic. It seems like the only thing that the folks of Ravenholm wanted was to have a place where they could live without being bothered by the Combine. A place where they could be separated from Big Brother. And what did the Combine say to that? Well, if we're not going to join us, then we don't want you alive. You might have heard, by the way,
Before the wind, and the angel of the Lord pursue them.
That zombies, they actually talk backwards. Like a lot of the things that they shout and scream are in fact English phrases with a bit of distortion and being played in reverse.
But who is this? Another life to save? I'll keep my eye on you. More than that, I cannot promise.
But as I was saying, yeah, they are actually screaming for help and asking people to basically put them out of their misery. It's like I guess I could post it separately, but I honestly don't like hearing it. Like it's Anyway, these fire traps here. Yeah, you have to turn on the gas and then light the sparker there. It's kind of interesting actually, like all the various mechanisms Valve put together for these kinds of set pieces, but yet again, it's something where I try not to think too hard about it. Like, you can sort of tell that the fall of Ravenholm was not instantaneous, that not everybody became zombies immediately. Rather, like a whole bunch of people perhaps lived through just a really torturous few, maybe days, weeks, could even be months, where they're having to constantly live in fear of being turned into monsters. It's like, it's hard to even think about. Like, you see all these, like, various apparatuses set up, and that one guy, the guy we saw up on that balcony, like, he could not have possibly put them all together just by himself. At least, this is my theory. It's sort of implied through the environment, but it's never actually stated, but I do kind of believe that while this guy seems to be the last survivor of Ravenholm, he was not the only one. Anyways, looks like we got ourselves what appears to be an electrified fence. Gonna have to do something about that, I suppose, but meantime, yeah. Don't get used to being able to saw things in half, by the way. That's a specific contextual action that only works with zombies. I should also talk about the relationship of head crabs to the crowbar and the gravity gun. They sort of have very predefined behaviors in regards to that. 3 shots from a gravity gun and 1 hit from a crowbar will kill every single head crab, like no matter what the difficulty. I'm not sure why it is that they made it a specific predefined thing. Like, it seems to be completely unrelated to their actual health. But, well, the head crabs are the only enemies in the game that can be hurt by the gravity gun or even punted away, so I guess they figured they had to really, like, define what a gravity gun's power was in a very strict numerical sense. I don't know. It might be some sort of coding thing. Before we go into this room, though, there are Lambda secrets in this game, or in this map, I should say. After all, as I said, this was once a Resistance hideout. An entire Resistance community, in fact. getting back to this. Yeah, you're not fooling anybody. You know, when you really look at it, like this map has a whole lot of blood in it. Like, it is just kind of caked across the walls, and... Did you hear that? Oh, yes. It's these things. Why don't I just let them attack us in order to demonstrate what's so bad about them? Yeah. These are what's called poison headcrabs. They have the ability to knock you down to 1 health, and then your suit slowly purges the toxins, bringing you back to where you were. But until then, any one hit will finish the job. In playtesting, it was discovered that people playing the game, whenever they heard that characteristic hiss, would drop everything and just start looking around for that particular headcrab. Like, it had such a particular effect on players. And me, you know, I don't really like them either, even though I kind of know their tricks. Besides which, the game has a surprise for us. Yeah. Bit of a nasty trick, though. I don't know for sure whether a poison head crab can actually kill you off of another poison head crab. Don't know. Don't think so. And in fact, these things, when you really think about them, are not actually that scary. Like, they can never actually kill you on their own. It's just sort of like, the effect of it, the danger of being suddenly exposed.
Well done, brother. Make free use of my traps, but take care not to fall in them yourself. Behind you! In Ravenholm, you do well to be vigilant.
For sure. And in fact, there is one last type of head crab that we haven't seen yet, but we'll get to that. I really don't know, like, these canisters, they're a little bit different from exploding barrels, and I can't really quite, like, pin down what their actual area of effect is. It seems as if they should be setting things on fire when they don't actually do so. Oh, and here's a fun new trap. Oh yes. Oh yes. That is definitely effective. Unfortunately, it's got a bit of a rearming time, which makes it not entirely useful. Nonetheless, it certainly makes an impression. Ah, you see, another lambda, which means that there's something behind that fence. I first think, okay, I need to use this car, but actually, like, yeah, you can make it if you really time it right. But what you're actually supposed to do is you're supposed to use this car instead, after we clear out some of our friends. I feel like the crushing effect is perhaps not so effective anymore. Like, you can sort of see the point where the model gets transformed into its like dead form. Like, the crushing effect is not entirely organic. But oh well. When you're working with, you know, early 2000s technology, you can only do so much. So, how do we progress? Well, I think you already saw it. There are some rafters up there. Honestly, with all this, like, dirty business of, like, making all these deadly traps for zombies, it's a wonder that there's still so many of them. Ravenholm must have been...
Better! I am Father Grigori. You have already met my congregation.
Ravenholm must have been a congregation of hundreds. Maybe even thousands. It's really hard to say. Here we are. Yeah, it's the fast ones again.
Balm for your affliction, child. Ah, it is you, brother. I apologize. But no harm done. My bullets are the least of your concerns.
For what it's worth, he can't actually shoot you. So, that's something. I really like Father Grigori as a character because, well, he actually feels sort of more real compared to all the, like, smiling and joking folks over at Black Mesa East who seem peculiarly chipper despite the fact that, you know, everyone's trying to kill them. Like, yeah, I get it. Like, the game's trying to put the player at ease and not make them too, like, bummed out about everything that's going on. Like, yeah, I understand that. But at the same time, it's like, well... I feel like it'd be more respectful of the player to actually set the proper mood. Like, yeah, like maybe the revolutionaries would be less fun if they were, like, more grim and serious. But I feel like, there's a way to have levity while also keeping things, like, tonally correct. In a sense, I mean, like, this, as I said, is a physics playground. Like, you could say that some of the things you can do are somewhat amusing, but the fact that you're doing so in a desolate, like, graveyard of a city is like, that makes the mood somewhat lessened than if it was like, I don't know, like you were at a carnival or whatever and throwing around props. And that's sort of the thing, like, context is important. Like, it's not just the actions, but also the meaning behind the actions. Like, you're stuck in a survival situation where if you just go in guns blazing, like, you're going to run out of ammunition. So instead, you're forced to improvise. Use whatever props you can get your hands on. So in that sense, it's not really playing so much as just using the gravity gun out of necessity. And that was just me cutting out a long bit of wandering.
Although they call me crazy, I care not, for thou art my helper, my strength, and my savior. although they call me crazy.
Yeah, I kind of turned around too quickly and missed this little lambda cache here. But don't worry, that's the last time for this chapter. Here we see, I think, what might have been like an attempt to actually save people from their zombification. But like all these different tools and such to try to extract the head crabs safely, but, well, as can be plainly seen, it didn't work. Yeah, once you've been crabbed, you're crabbed for good. And that's why I think that, yeah, like, unless Father Grigori is some omnidisciplinary, like, engineer, doctor, scientist, whatever, like, I think that, at least at the beginning, before everything really went downhill, he must have had at least some help. So, fast zombies. Yep. They howl like wolves. They leap towards you. They don't do a lot of damage, but their chaotic, angry way of approaching you makes them very, like, hard to deal with. Can't say that I'm a fan of the quiet. Yeah. Even a little bit of spooky music would be more comforting than just like the sheer silence of everything. Like, that's what's really disturbing about all this, basically, is that, yeah, Ravenholm is dead. Like, it's got activity in it, but definitely no life anymore. And, well, here's another thing to consider. How many times have we, being in our fancy-powered suit, been scratched by a head crab? Like, imagine being just a regular survivor, where having a head crab latch onto your head is, well, that's it. Game over. Like, even we, like, with all of our skill, with all of our armaments, if we didn't have the protection of the suit, we wouldn't stand a chance.
Here, brother! Come closer. You've stirred up hell. A man after my own heart. Here, I have a more suitable gun for you. You'll need it. Catch! Good. Now, keep it close. My advice to you is, aim for the head. Hush. They come. There is no rest in Ravenholm. Go on and I will meet you at the church. I remember your true face.
Now, the shotgun. Like, unlike every single shotgun you're probably familiar with, this thing's spread is actually super tight. Like, it is remarkably effective, even at medium ranges. It's hard to describe, but this is probably the most accurate shotgun I have ever used, and in fact, it makes a lot of the rest of your arsenal seem pretty tame by comparison. think that anyone with an ounce of self-awareness would immediately feel a twinge of terror at seeing that skylight. Yeah, this game's not going to let you cheese it. At least not the way you think you would be able to. That freaking howling. But now, what is that? Yeah. Our howling is about to be replaced by some really harsh moaning. Because this is what's called a poison zombie. Their trick being just loaded down with poison head crabs and flinging them at us. And oh yeah, letting out a cheerful little giggle when you kill them, which is all kinds of disturbing. Nonetheless, though, that is the last headcrab variation we'll see for this game. I suppose that's spoilers. Yeah, the episodes will introduce new kinds of zombies. But we'll get to that. Yeah. It's, really difficult to think about, like, what the end times of Ravenholm must have been like. Like, even, as I said, if you weren't one of the folks who got immediately head-crabbed, just trying to live in a place like this, where monsters are just moaning and shrieking and leaping across the rooftops. Can you even imagine something like that? People you once knew, like maybe like even like spend time with. I mean, they all become, and I guess this is sort of a limitation of the game engine, but they all do sort of just coalesce into the same model. But honestly, I think it would be even like freakier if they did have variations on the various like people they could be, like in a sense, like having them all be the same generic zombie model perhaps makes things a little bit easier to bear. Like even that small amount of dehumanization like gives the player like a little less unease. Anyway, this whole plaza area actually features just respawning zombies. What you're actually meant to do is find a way out. You need to solve a puzzle in order to basically make your way out of this scenario. And I think we've seen it plenty of times. It's a stack of boxes here. Yep. Time for us to be taking the high road. And it's actually a little bit disturbing to see, like, there's almost sort of like a patio here where someone apparently set up a kill box. just drinking beer and shooting at their old friends. Yeah, that's something weird to think about. But it looks like we need to move a platform from that control room, so back down we go. Don't worry, our knees can take it. Yeah, nice thing about being in suspended animation, we were at the prime of our life back in Black Mesa, and we are still looking pretty darn good. Don't mind this little hiccup here. Like, there is a lot that the game's trying to do all at once, and so, yeah, sometimes it runs into a little bit of a loading problem. Honestly, like, Ravenholm is pretty, yeah, like, there is a lot, I mean, a lot happening. Like, you can tell that in terms of, like, effort and design, I mean, none of the chapters look dull, per se. Like, they, well, I guess Water Hazard is kind of brown, but what I'm saying is that, like, there's a lot of design work put into them. But Ravenholm in particular feels just, well, it's hard to describe. Like, someone really had a lot of passion that they put into it. You know, actually, there's an achievement for going through this entire chapter using only the gravity gun. It's doable. Like, there's about, I think, 6 or 7% of people on Steam who've done it. But honestly, though, like, they give you a shotgun and then tell you not to use it. What kind of sense does that make? Not sure why, by the way, but this little segment down here actually leads you back to where you came from. Like, I think you probably recognize that that bed with the guy slumped on it. Well, personally, I got nothing to hold on to back there, so let's just keep moving forward. Honestly, in this playthrough, I've been using the Magnum a lot more than I usually do. I've sort of just been recognizing its ability to, well, yeah, drop things in a single shot. This game does not want you to be conservative with your ammunition. Remember, supply crates are random, which means that anything that you need, they'll give you. Don't be afraid to use whatever you feel like you need to use in this particular situation, because, yeah, if the game feels like you need more of it, it will give you more of it. Don't feel like you ever have to hoard anything.
Ah, there you are. At last. I will send the cart for you, brother. It will be but a moment. Patience, brother. Guard yourself well.
Yeah, and by a moment he means several minutes. Yep, it's time for a holdout. We've seen the thing with the pipes, though. And we only have 2 defense points that we have to look out for, so... Yeah, honestly, this whole sequence is actually a lot less stressful than they make it seem. You just basically have to keep watch and see when the pipes they be shaking. Sure, it's easy to get overwhelmed if you start to get careless, but yeah, as long as you keep on top of things, it'll be fine.
Almost there, brother.
Yeah, there's a little bit of levity to be had in cutting off the fast zombies before they finish their scream.
No, brother, step into the cart. The handbrake, brother. Release it and come down.
And I'm not waiting for this.
Greetings, brother. And so we meet at last. You are to be commended for avoiding my traps. The work of a man who once had too much time on his hands and now finds time for nothing but the work of salvation. I suspect you have little wish to remain in Ravenholm, so I will show you to the mines. As for me, a shepherd must tend to his flock, especially when they have grown unruly. Follow me, brother, and tread lightly, for this is hallowed ground.
Yeah, I don't know if they've really like dialed down the power of Grigori's gun, but it used to be though that it was like a one-hit kill. From my observation, like it seems like for whatever reason his gun was doing a whole lot less damage in this playthrough. And oh yeah,
Close to me, brother.
a little observation about NPCs. They do have a finite amount of health, but they also have a hidden regeneration. So anytime they're not actually in combat, they'll be coming back to full health at a rapid rate. It is possible for NPCs to die, and you can in fact fail for doing so. But like you have to really be not trying in order for it to happen. Like for the most part, NPC buddies can really fend for themselves, which is a welcome change from the Gold Source games in which they were not necessarily liabilities, but certainly not very useful.
You meant no harm.
I think that explosion was meant to go off. Sort of like a scripted sequence there, just in order to thin out the herd. I can't say though, like, it's really hard to tell sometimes what's meant to happen and what just kind of happens out of the sheer chaos of how this game works.
Your true nature. Woe to thee! Follow me! Quickly, brother! The grave holds nothing worse for you! Rest, my child!
I'm actually not sure if poison head crabs work the same way on NPCs as they do on us. Never really had the opportunity to test this out. Regardless, though, yeah. If you didn't hate the Combine before,
Hurry while I hold the gate!
then yeah, I think this will really cement just why they have to go down.
Farewell, brother! I fear I deliver you to a darker place. May the light of lights illuminate your path. Look to your own salvation.